What's up guys, Ruppy here, and welcome to week 2 of the BBR D-League. Last week, my Columbus Swoo got through a pretty difficult fight, not gonna lie. When we defeated Diet Tight, aka Jay, and his new Britain Rockruff. A really old rematch, several years in the making, but my Swoo came on top again. GG again to Jay for that. That's what our, feel like it's what our playoff game all those years ago should have been. Blame Hatterene. Anyway, we are off to a 1-0 start with a +2 differential, so not too bad. If history has taught me anything though, winning week 1 is good, but it's never a true indication of how the season ultimately goes. If anyone remembers my UNPL Season 3 run, I won week 1, and then it was several weeks before I got a win again. Pretty sure I lost my week 2 game in Season 2 of the main league of BBR as well, if I recall correctly. So, yeah. Definitely not a proper indication of where things are at and how things are going to stay put. But my team for this week is just chilling out in our locker room. We're all set up, ready to go. This week, we are playing the Carolina Tauros Heels, coached by Shadow Gallade. I think this is going to be an interesting matchup. New opponent, new challenge. So, let's go ahead and leave our locker room behind, flip on over to Showdown, and we'll discuss what we've got going on. His team will be appearing off to the right, and I'm not going to lie, it's a little scary. His team consists of the following: Gouging Fire, Necrozma, Thunderous Therian, Pheasantipity, Gastrodon, Hitmontop, Serperior, Ribombee, Klefki, Altaria, and Eevee. Altaria is his Terra Captain, so that is something I'm going to have to keep in mind. First off, I'm going to be honest, I severely doubt Eevee's coming to this game. I would be very intrigued and amused if it did, but I'm sorry, well, when you got points left to spend for a low-tier pick, right? I mean, you never know, maybe Eevee will do something. But I'm not going to fully write off that possibility. There are a lot of really big concerns with this team, however, and at the very top of that list is Gouging Fire. Plain and simple, that thing hits like a fiery truck. And I do believe my team is decently equipped to be able to handle this monster, but I cannot let it get out of hand. Necrozma also has the potential to be a huge problem because there's a multitude of different sets it could potentially bring, and if it sets up on me, especially if he runs a weakness policy set to take advantage of Prism Armor, that could be a huge problem. Pheasantipity could be a pain just because Poison Fairy. Hitmontop is his spinner. He's got Serperior, which, I mean, contrary attacker. I'm gonna be honest, I don't think Serperior is coming to this game. I would be surprised if it did, just because my team actually has a lot of answers to take care of that thing, even if it gets set up with some contrary boosts off of Leaf Storm. So I'm not gonna rule it out. I did prep with that in mind, but I severely doubt that Serperior is coming. I'm gonna be upfront about that. Gastrodon can set rocks and spikes. Necrozma can also set rocks. That's one of the possibilities it could do. He has Altaria to be able to defog, and Hitmontop is a spinner, so I do need to keep that in mind. Ribombee is also something I need to... Well, Ribombee and Klefki are two mons I need to take note of. Ribombee, just because it could potentially set webs, which, depending on how I play this, could help or hinder my team. Klefki is the biggest problem next to Gouging Fire, if you want my honest opinion, because, well, if you've seen what I could potentially do with Grimmsnarl as a prankster, Klefki is just as bad. It could potentially set screens, it could get priority spikes up, it could Thunder Wave to slow my team down. There is a lot of potential problems that Klefki could be, and I'm not gonna lie, my team is a little wishy-washy on how to deal with it, or at least what I'm bringing. But I'm hoping the fact that Klefki is mostly passive will ultimately work to my benefit to wear that thing down so I can focus on everything else. Knowing my history, I am probably shooting myself in the foot with that mindset, but we will ultimately see how it plays out. So let's get into my team. And we are going to start with the debut of a brand new member coming off our bench. That being our Scyther Harvester. What can I say? Scyther works on the farm, and he's out there harvesting all day long with those scythe arms of his. Scyther has a really interesting role in this game. It's a bit of a dual role. It is meant to be kind of my fast offensive breaker to some degree. And I do have Defog on there, partly to get rid of any hazards he gets set, but it's primarily to potentially get rid of Klefki screens if he does bring the my opponent does bring the screener set, just to have that as a potential option. I've got U-turn to be able to pivot, quick attack. I didn't think close combat really actually did me much good in this game, to be perfectly honest, because he has a ton of fighting resist. The only actual fighting weakness that they've got is Eevee, and I mean, it's an Eevee. So I thought quick attack was there. It's technician boosted. It's not stab, but I could potentially get some very necessary chip damage off to set something up to KO a potential threat, like, say, Gouging Fire, maybe Serperior, possibly Necrozma. That priority chip damage off a quick attack could go a long way, or just, pick something off if it's weak enough. Dual Wing Beat's the big one here, because it is Technician boosted, it is Stab, because unlike Scissor, Scyther is Bug Flying, as opposed to Bug Steel. And Shadow Gallade's team actually has a really bad flying weakness. They do have resists in Klefki and Thunderous Therian, but unless they're running incredibly physically bulky sets, neither one of them actually appreciate the hit they do take off of Stab Technician boosted Dual Wing Beat from Scyther. I am running max attack. 224 speed EVs is enough to always outrun a Thunderous Therian if it is not Scarfed, and that is timid max speed. I did make sure to count for that. And the 32 HP EVs just help Scyther take things on a little better, because I'm pretty sure Scyther's going to come in, beat some things down with Dual Wing Beat, which will really punch a huge hole in his team. U-turn out as necessary. I think Harvester actually has a really good matchup here. This might be one of the best Scyther matchups I think I could potentially have this season, so I'm definitely going full steam ahead in trying to get Scyther off the ground and into the air. Now, as far as actually dealing with this team, beyond Scyther, I do have a plan. Bit of an interesting one, actually. Which leads us to what I am dubbing my Trick Room Trio. That being Pomni the Porygon 2, Artemis the Ursaluna, and Algae Bloom the Dragalge, who is also making its debut this week. Let's begin with the Trick Room setter, Pomni. I debated the idea of potentially running Terra Stellar, actually, and trying to bank on running Trace to get Contrary off of Serperior, but I scrapped that plan just because of the fact that I am very confident in the fact that Serperior is not coming to this game, because it does have a really bad matchup against my team in general. So I would see no reason for it to come. So I scrapped that plan because that's just a waste if that is the case. So I decided to go a different route, and that is the Trick Room route. Same spread I ran last week, basically bulky, very difficult, pain-in-the-ass duck to take down. I've got Ice Beam because outside of the flying weakness, their team also has a really bad ice weakness as well. Again, Klefki is the only resist, and while Porygon 2 really can't take on Klefki the best, it can sort of muscle its way through, because I don't believe Klefki gets any form of recovery, which is kind of key to that matchup. I do, in fact, have Recover to be able to heal up. As I said, I'm running Trick Room, because with a minus speed nature and 0 speed IVs, Porygon 2 will outslow pretty much everything in Trick Room. I especially wanted to make sure that was the case in the event that they brought a Trick Room Necrozma, because that is a potential option that could come. So I wanted to make sure I was prepared for that scenario. And I decided to go Terra Normal Tri-Attack, because, to be perfectly honest, outside of some of the bulkier things, and the aforementioned Klefki because it resists, Terra Normal Tri-Attack actually potentially two-shots this entire team. And with a Trick Room up and Porygon 2 outslowing everything, this could be a really good game for Pomni to just Terra Normal, get some extra pop off a Tri-Attack, and really put in some work for me. But while Porygon 2 is here to set Trick Room and just be an overall menace, the next mon in my Trick Room trio is definitely on the list of probably my biggest win cons this week outside of Porygon 2 and Scyther to some degree. And that's Ursaluna. I'm running a Brave Nature, again with 0 speed IVs, to take full advantage of Trick Room and outslow everything. And I'm running the Guts Flame Orb set this week because, to be perfectly honest, Guts Flame Orb Ursaluna destroys this team. End of story. There is very little on this team that wants to take a Guts boosted Facade. For the things that do, I have Earthquake and Ice Punch to be able to deal with them, again capitalizing on the Ice weakness. And for the few things that resist those, they do not take Earthquakes. Brick Break is a bit of a niche option, kind of in the same vein as last week. Facade, Earthquake, and Ice Punch are all I really need, but I did throw Brick Break on there, just like last week, on the off chance they pull Screen's Klefki on me. Because while Klefki, depending on its investment, will barely survive an Earthquake from this Ursaluna once Guts is activated, whatever HP it's got left, I can just Brick Break through to finish that off and make sure the screens are completely gone. Bit of a niche little option, but again, like with Defog on Scyther, I don't want them getting up screens and potentially throwing that in my face, because that is my shtick. And the other part of the Trick Room trio, the final member, is of course Algae Bloom the Dragalge. I'm not exactly going minus speed nature and 0 speed IVs on Dragalge, mostly because I want to still be able to outrun Gastrodon outside of Trick Room. Maybe they predict me to go no speed on Dragalge at all and try to outpace me regardless, but we will see. Dragalge does have the natural special bulk to be able to take on Gastrodon anyway, but pretty simple Dragalge set here. It's kind of Dragalge's bread and butter. I've got Draco Meteor and Sludge Wave to do huge damage to everything, especially with adaptability. Flip Turn to be able to pivot out, and Toxic Spikes. I am very well aware that Pheasantipity could just absorb those. Klefki is immune, and Thundurus Therian and Altaria, at least pre-Terra. Post-Terra, it would depend on what type it decides to go with. Toxic Spikes is really mostly there to kind of try to spread poison throughout the rest of his team regardless. Just to have that available to kind of keep them on their toes. I am aware that this set pretty much can't touch Klefki, but I can easily flip turn out of that matchup into, say, Ursaluna, who Klefki kind of really cannot touch in any meaningful way. And the jingly set of keys will probably be ripped to shreds. So I do have my options here. Dragalge, it's mostly here to be just an overall wall, potentially try to spread poison throughout his team, and also really kind of be like a potential emergency Gouging Fire check. Just because of the fact that under Trick Room, Gouging Fire does not outspeed Dragalge, or outslow, I guess, and I rip the thing apart with a Draco Meteor. So that is a potential option I could potentially back him into if the matchup plays out that way. But I think Dragalge works out all the same regardless. Beyond my Trick Room trio, we have Master Org the Grimmsnarl returning again. Pretty much the same set as last week, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Screens will definitely help me against the likes of Gouging Fire, Necrozma if it gets set up, Serperior if I kind of lose control of the situation with that thing. Master Orc can help me deal with a lot of that. I did swap out Taunt for Parting Shot, though. I'm not as concerned with giving my opponent potential boosts like I was last week, because Jay had far more options like Defiant and Contrary and whatnot. There is the possibility of Contrary Serperior taking advantage of it, but again, most of my team really deals with Serperior regardless, so I'm confident that if Serperior does come, I can work around that if I do in fact put myself in that position. But Parting Shot is just really good for weakening just about everything else, especially the likes of Gouging Fire. If it tries to boost up on me, I can kind of keep that thing offensively neutral to some degree, or weaken it. Just stuff like that. Because Prankster works, what can I say? Especially since unless he goes Terra Dark on Altaria, there is no Dark type here to kind of ruin Prankster shenanigans. And Grimmsnarl is actually immune to any Prankster shenanigans Klefki wants to try to throw at me, so that's a potential option. I was kind of torn on my last slot with what I wanted to go for, and I'm still not 100% sure on it, to be honest, but ultimately I decided to go with Thermidor the Rotom-Heat. Mostly because this set, to some degree, is capable of 1v1ing Gouging Fire if it does in fact start to get out of hand. This is kind of my emergency button for that, because I am max physical bulk. I have Overheat and Volt Switch for powerful fire coverage and to be able to pivot around. I am aware that Gastrodon is immune to Volt Switch, and Thundurus Therian has Volt Absorb, so I do need to be a little careful there. But other than those two, I can kind of pivot around as necessary, and Thundurus Therian has to be careful of switching in on Overheats regardless. Foul Play and Pain Split are how Rotom-Heat takes down Gouging Fire, because if they want to boost up in my face with Dragon Dances, I can take advantage of that with Foul Play to really wear the big dinosaur Entei down. And Pain Split is there to be able to, in conjunction with Leftovers, kind of weaken things, get HP back, and ultimately keep Rotom-Heat alive to keep being an utter menace this game. So that is going to be the team as we go ahead and flip back over to my locker room. I think this team's got a lot of potential and could really pull this off. It's going to be a tough game, but we've got the tools to be able to handle it. I just need to play my cards right, and I think just focusing primarily on Trick Room is the go-to play this game to be able to yield the best results. So, with that said, I will see you guys when it's battle time. Alright, it is battle time! So let's see. There is Necrozma, Gastrodon, Thundurus Therian, Klefki, Serperior, and Gouging Fire. Okay, so first off, actually really surprised to see Serperior. I did not think it would come because I have so many things that just take it on. Most of what else is here doesn't surprise me. Maybe a little surprised to not see Rabombi, but it's fine. No Pheasantipity is actually huge. If I can get Toxic Spikes up with Dragalge, this could actually be really good. So given this matchup, I think I'm going to go ahead and lead Harvester. Because, yeah. If he leads Klefki, I can just flat switch into Ursaluna and maybe get some momentum there. Anything else I could probably deal with accordingly. Maybe just U-turn out and we'll see how that plays out. So, Shadow Gallade, good luck, have fun. And let's see if my Swoo are able to pull off another win. As he's going to lead with the Thundurus Therian. Okay. So we are starting right off with this matchup. Makes me wonder, though, if you're Scarfed. That is a possibility. And I could see you just pivoting out. Yeah, I'm going to go to Thermidor. Don't want to take an unnecessary risk turn 1 that you are Scarf and just try to T-Bolt me right out of the gate. Or Volt Switch out and get rid of Harvester. Straight for the Focus Blast! Okay! So that did just under half. Good to know. That at least confirms to me he is not... That at least confirms to me he's not, Choice Specs or Life Orb. I'm gonna go ahead and Pain Split. Chip this thing down and get some HP back. Especially if he wants to... Yep, he's gonna Volt Switch out. So he is not Choice. That is good to know. And whatever comes in, I'm about to take a good chunk of HP away from it to keep Thermidor healthy, especially to deal with Gouging Fire later. As you go into the Gastrodon, which is absolutely fine with me, honestly. Chipping you down thanks to Pain Split is always good. Thermidor is quite healthy at this point. And you are also leftovers. That is fair enough. Now then, I would not be surprised if you were to try to set up hazards here. So, to that end, I think I'm going to go into Harvester. Unless he's a really offensive Gastrodon, if he has Ice Beam, I should be able to take it. But, yep, just going to set up Spikes. Completely fair. So there is a layer of Spikes up. That is fine. I would not be surprised if he switches into... I mean, Serperior's a risky switch, unless he calls the Defog. Realistically, though, I have no reason not to go for dual Wing Beat here. Just to get huge damage off on something, regardless of what comes in. Or on this thing, if he wants to keep it in. I mean, unless he's a physically bulkier one, but... even then, I still take a chunk out of this thing, if that's the case. Because Scyther's just really good in this game. Yep, I'm going to be able to get dual Wing Beat off, get some good damage off on this thing. He recovers. Okay. That is fine. So he's definitely got some physical bulk. I'm just going to go ahead and defog the Spike away now. Because I don't know if... I doubt he switches, especially if he predicts me to just U-turn out here. Or at least not... if he does switch, it's probably not into Serperior. That would be an incredibly risky play to make. He does switch into... that is the Thundurus, which is fine with me. I'm just going to get rid of the Spike. So I know you're not Scarf because you've switched up moves. So I know I outrun you. So I'm just going to go ahead and U-turn out for Chip on you. Decent Chip at that. Alright, last time you went for Focus Blast predicting me to switch. I'm going to go into Algae Bloom. So I can definitely take a hit from this thing. Because Dragalge's just really good on the special end thing. He's going to Volt Switch out. Which is fine. Dragalge eats that. And depending on what he goes into, I can go from there. Let's go back into Gastrodon. That is fine. Gouging Fire sounds a little risky, maybe? Necrozma or Klefki wouldn't surprise me. There are options here. And I still haven't even gotten my Trick Room plan in order yet. But I will have my chance to do so soon enough. The opportunity is there. Back into Gastro. Which is completely fine. I would not be surprised if you go ahead and try to set up Spikes on me. To that end, I think I'm going to get up a layer of T-Spikes. Just because of how good it looks in this game. Because with no Pheasantipity, I know I can't Poison Klefki or Thundurus Therian, but everything else, he would need to be running a lot of boots. Okay, I do outrun Gastro, that is very good to know. I do get a layer of Toxic Spikes up, as he just recovers. You know what? Fair enough. That is of no surprise to me. And... Temptation is there to go into Porygon 2 and start, You know what? Screw it. We're going to do that. We're going to get Pomni in, and we're going to start trying to make this work. Now, assuming I should outslow Gastrodon if I do set up a Trick Room. I get an attack raise, which does me no good. Just set up a layer of spikes. That's fine. I can defog those away later. It is fine. So I think what I can do... I'm just going to go ahead and fire off a Terra Normal Tri-Attack. If this thing stays in, I can chip it down, maybe get one of the various statuses that Tri-Attack is capable of getting. Beyond that, I hit something else stupidly hard if he wants to switch out, maybe predicting me to just Trick Room up. He's going to stay in. That is fine. So this thing is definitely more specially bulky, but we can chip away at it. We have the technology. Pomni has her tricks from the Amazing Digital Circus. Here to present to you all today. That's still a decent chunk at least. So yeah, I'm starting to see where this might be going. I'm going to go ahead and click Tri-Attack again. Even if they get all 3 layers of spikes up, I can just defog those away with Scyther at any given point. As we're still just chipping this thing down. There's the Ice Beam. That is good to know. He should only have 6 recovers left as well, 5 or 6. I'm gonna go ahead and try attack again, see if I can get him to burn another one, because once the thing is out of recovers, then Pomni definitely wears the thing down and beats it 1v1. There is another one, so that should be 5. Not the most exciting a gameplay, but I am aware, but... I mean... Pomni's here. She's trying. Just taking chunks of... And I do get a para on this thing, so there is that at least. As he gets up to a 3rd layer of spikes, which is fine. Again, I can defog those away at any point. I can also get my T-Spike set back up with Dragalge if I really need to. I mean, that would make Gastrodon outslow me in Trick Room now, but... I'm gonna go ahead and Ice Beam. I'm gonna preserve my, Tri-Attacks. This is fine. We can still make this work. Got Ice Beam. I would imagine Earth Power, Water or Ice move, or Water or Ground move with Stab would probably be the next likely. Which is fine. Pomni's still chipping away at this thing. There is... So I believe that's half of the recovers that Gastrodon should have. And I think I'm going to flip the Thermidor now. I know I can't Volt Switch out on this thing, but I want to try to see if I can figure out what, or maybe force this thing out, because it can't set up any more spikes. Because it's got the maximum number of spikes up. As Thermidor's just going to get back to full now. I want to see if it's got a water or ground stab as its last move. Or if it's got something else I'm not considering, because maybe it could be rocks. So I wouldn't be surprised if that was, I'm gonna Foul Play. There's the switch. Scatster goes out into, back to Thunderous Therian. Which is fair. Gonna take a chunk out of this thing with Foul Play. And I believe I killed this thing with an overheat. So I'm going to go ahead and go for it. Nasty Plot! You're one of these! Good to know! And goodbye! So, finally broke through that little stalemate a bit. And now I get to see what... Thermidor is a -2, which does suck a bit. But that's one thing that keeps into Necrozma. Which does take this Toxic Spike. That is fine with me. And... how do I want to respond to this? Because I do kind of need Thermidor for... I do need Thermidor for Gouging Fire. You are actually a bit of a problem. I think I'm going to go into Master Org. And we will see how this plays out. Having this thing poisoned is really nice, because that is going to wear it down over time. That's going to help immensely. Master Org is going to take the spikes. You're the D-Dance set. Good to know. So I'm really curious as to how you deal with this. I'm going to get a Reflect up. Because I have no reason not to. Iron Head. Okay. And your leftovers. Fair enough. So, in that regard then... I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna Parting Shot out to take away your attack boost and lower your special attack as well in case you're some sort of DD mixed set. And I'm gonna go into Harvester because we can defog these spikes away. Goes the Iron Head again, which Harvester is able to eat. Which is perfectly fine with me. The poison is offsetting the leftovers, so that is always appreciated. I'm gonna do a Wing Beat. I wonder if you actually try to go into Serperior thinking I'm just gonna take advantage of this position and defog these spikes away. Because I don't know if this thing says Photon Geyser, which, yep, should be physical out of this whole scenario. And I'm gonna get a nice chunk of damage off with Dual Wing Beat, which is very much appreciated. That. And I'm going to go ahead and defog these spikes away now. Again, that will get rid of my Toxic Spike, but that is fine, as Harvester is able to live. Get this defog off. That is fine. I lose my T-Spike, but I get rid of his spikes. And this thing should definitely be in range of a quick attack to pick it off. Let me see. Let me bring out my handy-dandy little tool here. Looks to be about 5, 10... Yeah, it should definitely be in position for a quick attack kill. And there goes Necrozma! So, one of the potential bigger issues is now off the board. Nice work, Scyther. Gastrodon is still a bit annoying, especially since my avenues of being able to... Especially since I did kind of let Scyther get very worn down to get to this point. And we're going straight into Gouging Fire. Okay. Interesting. I do still have my Reflect up. I know I outrun you. Unless you're Scarf. Scarf Gouging Fire would be interesting. I don't know if you just take me out or go straight for the default, or just go straight for a Dragon Dance. I'm gonna dual Wing Beat regardless to get some very much needed damage off on you. Okay, you look like you're leaning towards the bulkier set, which is... Or maybe not. Maybe that was just a lower roll and dual Wing Beat. As you do, in fact, just go Dragon Dance. Which is fine. I got necessary damage off on you, which is very much appreciated. I'm going to Quick Attack for even more chip damage. I'm curious what the plan... Yep. Burning... Oh! You have Burning Bulwark. Interesting. I mean, fair play. I can't argue with that. Haven't seen many people run the Burning Bulwark set. And Harvester is going to survive. That's fine, though, because even if it's minuscule at best, I can still get chip damage off with Quick Attack. So this thing is at about half now, as he just D-dances up. That is fine. So yeah, this thing is at +2. I do lose my Reflect, which does kind of suck. But it's fine. Because this is pretty much exactly what Thermidor was designed for. And Gouging Fire should be in range of a Foul Play to kill this thing if it's a +2. Yeah, that's about half, just under half. So I have no reason not to Foul Play here, because I'm max Fizz Def. I can take any hit from this thing. Even this Dragon Claw. So Thermidor going to be able to get this Foul Play off, and that is going to be the end of Gouging Fire. So that nightmare is off the table. I haven't even gotten my Trick Room shenanigans in gear yet. This is actually looking really nice. As Gastrodon is now going to come into the equation, I would not be surprised if he tries to set up spikes at this point. What I think I'm going to do... It is extremely tempting, and I'm very much tempted to do so, especially since Ursaluna would outrun this thing with it being paralyzed. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just send in Artemis. I don't have my Trick Room up, but that shouldn't matter, at least for Gastrodon, because once I am burned, then the fun really begins. He just sets up spikes. That is absolutely fine with me. One layer of spikes at this point, at this juncture, is not going to kill me. Just going to get Leftovers Recovery back to full, but Ursaluna's going to be burned. And now something, let's see. You have this. Yep, you have this Serperior and Klefki left. So I'm going to Facade, because I have very little reason not to. And it does kill Gastrodon. So the Gastrodon problem is now off the table. I would think Serperior comes in at this point, but... That is Klefki. Which is absolutely fine with me. Even if he sets a Reflect up, Earthquake's got a chance to KO, and if not, I can pick it off with a Brick Break after the fact. So I just Earthquake here. Foul Play! That's fair. Artemis tanks that. And this Earthquake does in fact kill Klefki, so there is that. And all that remains is the Serperior. So this is about to get real interesting. 274 right now. I definitely die to a Leaf Storm. Pomni is at 288. It will take the spike. I'm gonna go into Thermidor. If anything feels like it could be potentially be sacked at this point, I feel like it would be Thermidor. Especially since Thermidor does not care for the spike. Yep, there is the Leaf Storm, which is fine. No need to get too crazy here. So I'm at 110. I think another Leaf Storm does take me out. I'm just going to click Overheat regardless. I was definitely maybe I should have split my investment a little more, but that's... I needed the bulk to be able to take on... Thermidor does live! That's amazing. And this should be a dead Serperior. No, it is not. Fair enough. It is leftovers, though. So it does have some bulk investment. That is fair. I'm just going to click Overheat again and let... Oh! Okay. Interesting. And irrelevant because Rotom-Heat had enough of this and decided it was time for a crit. Oh, I'm sorry for that Shadow Gallade. In the grand scheme of things, not knowing your set, I don't know if it really mattered. Unless you had Dragon Pulse on Serperior, I don't think you could touch Dragalge. And even then, even if you get to +6, I could just set up a light screen and then Dragalge kind of takes you out from there. To be able to tank even a +6 Dragon Pulse. But that definitely saved me a bit of differential I maybe didn't need, but that is Mons for you, and I do apologize all the same. GG regardless. Rotom-Heat. I was expecting my Trick Room trio to put in some work, but aside from Pomni getting into a bit of a stally back and forth with Gastrodon and Ursaluna finishing it off, and Klefki, I guess. This was the Rotom-Heat show. Not what I expected at all from a mon that was a last-second addition, and I was iffy on all the way. Because its main purpose was just to deal with Gouging Fire, which it did do. Regardless, GG again to Shadow Gallade. I apologize for how this game did kind of play out, but with the team you've got, I have a feeling you'll bounce back in future weeks. All that said, thank you guys so very much for watching. I have been Ruppy, and I will see you guys next time. Take care.